Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening in from. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning on our weekly Onwards and Upwards show, which is a show where you learn everything that you need to know about living and working in the United States as an RN. So the topic for today is going to be TN visa. So what is a TN visa? How do I qualify for a TN visa? And do I qualify? So I'm joined by a panel of experts today that are going to go through all of your questions, and you will leave today knowing more about the TN visa than hopefully you do now. But most importantly, what we want to do is make sure that you get your application in today. All right, so we have got opportunities in both direct and staffing all over the United States. So you can see the handle below, amnhealthcare.com/international. So please make sure that you are getting your application today. Our team of expert recruiters are standing by to assist you. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Deirdre O'Regan, Senior Director of Recruitment at AMN Healthcare International. So this is my first time hosting an Onwards and Upwards show. I've been very fortunate to be able to attend a number of shows, but very, very honored to do so, and just hoping that I can live up to the great job that both Tanya and Danielle have done with these shows. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our expert panel. So we are joined today by Scott Flockhart, Director of Clinical Operations here at AMN Healthcare International, Amanda Karuba, Manager of Licensing and Credentialing, and Lilia Asuna, Immigration Manager. So we were, Stephen Dobson was supposed to be able to join us today, but as in all live shows, things happen. And unfortunately, he was not able to make it at the last minute, but I know that he was very excited to share his journey and his experience with you all. So we are hoping that we can get Stephen on another show in the near future. So I am going to hand it over to Scott to introduce himself. Over to you, Scott.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. Pleasure to be here. My name is Scott Flockhart. I am one of the clinical directors at AMN International. I look forward to sharing my journey as an international nurse with each of you today.
Thank you, Scott. We're very excited to hear all about your journey. Amanda.
My name is Amanda Karuba. I'm the manager of our licensing and credentialing department. So I will help talk through some of the credentials you need to have border crossing and then state licensure. So I will be happy to help answer those questions and guide you through the process.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda. And Lilia.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lilia Osuna Cameron, and I'm the immigration manager. Here at O'Grady Payton, and I will be here answering your immigration questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we have got a lot of knowledge here on this panel today. So this is your opportunity to get your questions answered. So please make sure that you are popping your questions in the chat here. Bear in mind, if you have the question, it is very likely that a lot of our participants on this call today have the same question. So please make sure that you are taking the opportunity to plug your question in. One of our favorite things about these shows is looking to see where our participants are calling in from. So if you could do me a quick favor and just plug in where you are listening in from today, that would be phenomenal, and we'll call out throughout our presentation. So without further ado, let's get started. So Scott, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about why you immigrated to the United States to work as an RN?
So I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is opportunity. The United States has just limitless opportunities to pursue your passion in nursing, whether at the bedside or in a variety of different practice settings. There's just so much opportunity that exists out there. And then opportunities to advance your education and get advanced degrees. So really, those were the two major factors that came into play when I was considering to immigrate to the United States. And then, of course, growing up in Canada, there was the weather piece, wanting to come and explore a country where I could get out of the snow, and enjoy some of the warmer climate. But from the nursing side of it was really from a career growth perspective, just tons of opportunity to interact in nursing in a new way and explore educational opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Scott. And we are very fortunate that Scott chose AMN Healthcare International to come and work with us. So definitely full circle for Scott. Scott, what was your journey to the US like?
So it was a relatively simple journey. I worked with AMN Healthcare. I actually came over as a travel nurse on a TN visa. And they supported me every step of the way, through the TN application to getting my first assignment to assisting me with housing. And they were there every step of the way to make sure that I was successful. So I took my first job in Dallas, Texas, at a large level 1 trauma center, which was very, very exciting. I spent about a year there and then was able to continue on my travels to explore more another side of the country. I went out to California, and then I came back and put some roots down in Dallas, and really started to experience some of that career growth and professional advancement that I was seeking when I left Canada. So.
Thank you so much, Scott. I know that you are inspiring many, many listeners on this call today to take the next step and get their place in line. Great to hear that the process was not complex and you had a lot of support from AMN Healthcare. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I see we've got a lot of participants joining. Thank you so much for popping in the chat. Mildred from Kenya, welcome. Fansar from Ghana, welcome. Alberts from the Philippines, glad you are here today. Shella from Saudi Arabia, thank you so much. Lots and lots of interest in our topic today. So we're very excited to continue on our path of educating us all on TN visas. But let's get to the basics of a TN visa. Amanda, what does TN stand for and who qualifies for a TN visa?
Yes, so the TN visa is essentially indicating our NAFTA agreement. So temporary NAFTA visa. So really it's indicating anyone for the North American Free Trade Agreement. So really North American countries. So Canada, Mexico, and the US are the applicable countries that would be able to work off of the TN visa.
Perfect. And Amanda, who qualifies for a TN visa?
That would be any Canadian or Mexican citizens. And I know Lilia will talk a little bit about specifically, we're going to focus on nurses because there are a lot of other skill sets and specialties that might qualify under the NAFTA agreement, but we're going to focus today on our nurses.
Perfect. So Lilia, can you talk to us a little bit about how does one get started on the process?
So first of all, I just want to say that the TN is one of the easiest immigration paths you have to come to the US and work here. So if you are a Mexican citizen or Canadian citizen and you have passed NCLEX, you have your NCLEX RN, and you have your valid passport, you will also need your visa screen certificate and your employment agreement. So in order to obtain a TN, you have to have that employment. The TN will be granted if you're a Canadian citizen at the border, and is usually granted for up to 3 years. Your immigration officer at the border entry will give it to you usually for the amount of time that was given on the employment letter that you're holding at entry. So who's eligible for a TN visa? Canadian and Mexican citizens. Of course, the profession must be listed on the NAFTA list. Nursing is one of those professions. And, you know, you do have to have that prearranged part-time or full-time job in order to come to the US and obtain that TN at the border if you're Canadian. If you're Mexican, then the process is a little bit different. You would apply at a US consulate in Mexico. The very first step, if you're a Mexican citizen with a valid Mexican passport, visa screen certificate as well, then you would complete a DS 160, pay the fee. Then we will help you prepare for the visa interview. And the visa interview is quite basic. They just want to make sure that you do have the job, that the job is actually has all of the requirements, and that you are going to work on the profession that is listed on that NAFTA list. And then they'll issue the visa right there for you. Again, we'll prepare you for that interview. We'll give you your requirements, and then they'll issue the visa at the embassy or U.S. consulate, and then you'll enter with your TN that is valid up to 3 years, and you can renew it as many times as you want to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lilia. What I heard there was it's not complex, it's easy, you have a lot of support, we're going to help you every step of the way. So again, get your place in line today, apply today, amnhealthcare.com/international. I know that there was a question in the chat. It is amnhealthcare.com/international. So looking forward to assisting you on your immigration journey, but take the step today. So we've got a couple of questions coming in that I don't want, there's a lot of questions coming in, so I want to make sure that I am addressing some of those questions. So this is from David, and Lilia, this would be a question for you. So David is originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia, now in North Carolina. Congratulations, David. And he's asking for a friend, does AMN do adjustment of status from a TN for those who will come to the States as a travel nurse? So kind of similar to Scott's journey.
Absolutely. So yes, we do. We can adjust your status so you can get your green card. Let's remember that the TN is a non-immigrant intent. So before we can adjust your status, we would have to wait for that 90-day period to establish a non-immigrant intent, right? So it's 90 days after you start your employment here with us when we can file your I-140 first. And then once you have reached that visa eligibility, meaning your priority date is current on the visa bulletin, that's when we can apply for your adjustment of status. And that's when your adjustment of status starts. Then you'll get your employment authorization and at the end of it, a green card.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lilia. Thank you, Dranike, for being here from the Bahamas. Thank you so much. Amanda, so when applying for the TN visa, I know you've got a lot of experience helping clinicians on our direct and our staffing side. What can an RN expect during that process?
So during the process, the main things you want to think about is gathering your documents for the border crossing. For that, you need to make sure that you have a current passport, at least 6-month validity, birth certificate, and it needs to have English translation, visa screen or visa for nurse, so either CGFNS or Joseph Silney, license, US license, and then also Canadian or Mexican license. So they want to see proof of you working as a nurse. I always recommend bringing your certification. So if you have BLS, ACLS, you want to bring as much evidence for that border crossing to be successful, for them move you through quickly. So really that the admit and employment letter that is provided by our company, or if you're on the direct hire side, that will be coming from the facility. So really that indicates the employment contract details. So that needs to be with a wet signature at the bottom, nothing electronic, but you can have that printed off versus being physically mailed to you. There has been a little bit of change post-COVID, so you are able to get that electronically as long as it has an original wet signature on that first page. A copy of your degree showing that you have graduated from a nursing college. You can also use CES reports, any other credentials that you might have. I've seen Morningside evaluations being used at the border crossing as well. And then I also want to call out dependents. So if you are crossing with spouses or kids, you need to think about their documents as well. Marriage certificates, current passports for them as well, birth certificates, and adoption records. You want to make sure that you have everything all together. And then as the TN visa, if you're Canadian, it'll be a TN1, Mexican citizens, TN2. Make sure that when you do a border crossing, you have all the current documentation for yourself and then dependents separately. So they do have all that stuff being input online now. So 10 days before crossing, you can actually submit your documentation online on the USIS website. You can do the online fees, and then that just really pushes your border crossing experience to be much faster, especially if you have dependents who want to move through that process quickly, especially if you have small kids. You'll probably spend more time in the US at a Social Security Administration office than at the border crossing checkpoint. So you want to prepare yourselves for what happens after the crossing as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amanda. I don't know about you. I'm so excited to have all this expertise on one show walking through this process. So Amanda, does AMN Healthcare International assist nurses with gathering these documents and making sure that they're presented in the right way as they cross the border?
Yes. So usually what happens before a border crossing is you send us all the items I just listed. So again, passport, birth certificate, visa screen, US licensure, your international licenses as well, degree, and then the employment letter we send you. So we really make sure that you meet the qualifications to cross. We also want to make sure that you're prepared for the crossing event. If you feel nervous or have any questions, we also help prepare you for what you can expect with a border agent. Usually you are able to move through quickly. It is a very fast process. For the TN visas, it's not like the embassy appointment that Lilia called out. So really our team helps you get the visa screen if you have not acquired one. We send you instructions. We want to make sure that you are prepared. Licensure in the US, if you only have passed NCLEX or taken the CP exam, your CGFNS, we want to help guide you through the process of getting a US license. Ideally, if you have passed NCLEX, and if you've not activated that state license, our team helps get you there. We want to make sure you're prepared for either an exam or endorsement license. And we help you whether it's credential reports, evaluations, or whatever you might need to start. So our team really does guide you through the process from start to finish. Even while you're on assignment, we want to make sure that you get there and have help every step of the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Scott, can you share with us what your experience was with gathering the necessary documentation in order to either adjust your status? I know you came on at TN as well, but can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a very positive experience. Again, thank you to AMN Healthcare for supporting me every step of the way. But really the key is to stay organized, develop a checklist. The hardest part of it, looking back, of course, this was 12 years ago now, was really getting all of my transcripts in order and getting everything together for CGFNS, making sure that, those requested timely from your post-secondary school, your college or university, to make sure that nothing was going to slow down your application. So really just staying organized, following the checklist, and listening to the cues from AMN International will really help you along the way with speed.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott. So, it may seem daunting. Oh my gosh, how am I going to gather all of this information that's required? But the key thing here is that you've got the support of the experts here at AMN Healthcare International. We have been in this industry for over 40 years, have seen everything. And so there is no team better equipped to walk you through whatever process you are in right now. If you were in the process of EB3, if you're in an H-1B process or TN process, we are experts at each category, so can help you through. But always know that you'll have the support of the team to assist you every step of the way, because we know, sometimes it can be challenging, it can be daunting. There's a lot of documentation and information required. I'm an immigrant myself, and I know that a lot of us on this call are as well, and Lilia, and it's a lot, and I know that we would have appreciated support like our nurses get from AMN Healthcare International in guiding us through that process. It was quite some years ago for me, but I still remember. It was a lot. So make sure that you are availing of that opportunity for support. So Chinook, yes, absolutely. Congratulations. You are a Canadian citizen, passed NCLEX, and are interested. Please make sure you apply today, amnhealthcare.com/international. We would be honored to assist you and looking forward to receiving your application. And we will have one of our expert recruiters reach out to you and get you started on this process. So Lilia, there are 3 types of immigration pathways for international nurses to work in the US. Can you walk us through those?
Absolutely. So the very first one that I want to talk to you about is the EB3. The EB3 process would be for the nurses that are overseas, so outside of the US. This process is a bit of a longer process, but it is a green card what you're obtaining with the EB3. So it's an application that goes to USCIS and then moves to the National Visa Center to complete process. And at the end, you go to a visa interview at a US embassy on the country that you are residing. At the end of that interview, you'll get a visa. And when you enter the US, you'll be activating that visa and you become a legal permanent resident at entry, and the same thing for your family members. The second path would be the TN. The TN is, like we said, much easier process, much shorter. This is meant for Canadian and Mexican citizens, you get this visa for up to 3 years, and it's renewable. It can be a full-time job or a part-time job. It is employer specific. That means that when you enter the US, you have to work for the employment or the employer that is listed on that employment letter that you provided to the Border Patrol. Now, the third process would be the adjustment of status. You adjust status when you have a non-immigrant status here in the US and you want to apply for a green card. So we offer also the adjustment of status for the TNs. Again, you do have to be here for at least 90 days working before we can start the adjustment of status process. And that process starts with the I-140 petition. And once that is approved and you are visa eligible, then we file for the adjustment of status. At the end of it, the adjustment of status permits you and your family members to obtain green cards.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lilia. A question in the chat is, we have a husband-wife team. Can they both apply for a TN at the same time?
Yes. Yes, they can both apply, and that would be beneficial because both could have their employment, right? So they both need the employment, separate employment, so they can both work here as a TN and not have the spouse being the TD classification, which is not able to work.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lilia. Scott, were there any challenges that you encountered in your journey that you can talk us through?
Really, no challenges come to mind. I think the process itself went very, very smoothly. I think the key there was staying organized with all of the documentation, especially when you reach the border crossing. What I did, I developed kind of a clinical portfolio of all the documents that I needed, so that as the Border Patrol officer asked for those documents, I was able to hand them over very timely for his review. So really, it was a really smooth, seamless process that was not stressful at all, and took a matter of minutes to issue the TN visa and allow me on my way. So no complications on my end. But I think the key is really, making sure you have all the documentation in order, which AM International is going to work to make sure that you have that before you reach the border crossing. And once you're there, just presenting it in a professional and an efficient manner.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Scott. The key there is make sure that you choose the right partner to get you here with the least bumps in the road as possible. Amanda, we've got some questions coming in here. Mildred is asking, is a TN visa the same as an H-1B?
It is not. So it is important to call that out. So the TN visa is applicable for Canadian Mexican citizens, and any employer can have you come through on a TN visa if you qualify and you are matching the requirements for the NAFTA checklist. There is a difference for H-1B, and I know Lilia can probably speak to that a little bit better. And then I am seeing some additional questions about if you have already filed, I'm going to guess I-140 AB3, and you want to come over on a TN, so we can address that as well. And then another question in the chat is direct hire or staff. And I think that's a good opportunity to talk about our branding, because AMN does have the opportunity where you can come through on the direct hire side of our business. And if you look at the map, we have opportunity in every state, right? So we want to get you here. We want to get you here quickly. And I would say apply today. Talk to our recruiters who are the experts. Let them explain the difference within the brands and then opportunities within the states. So really, it's going to be what is the best situation for you, whether it's the direct hire side of our business, our staffing, or the direct hire and staffing opportunities that we have. So we do have a huge range of opportunities within AMN. So please apply today. Get in to talk to one of our experts, because we do want to get you here. So we really just want to help you with your pathing as quickly as possible. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So I do want to address Chinook's question. You're asking whether or not you should apply direct hire or staff. So submit your application through that link, and our team of recruiters work cohesively together on making sure that you have the right opportunity. It's all about where you want to be, what's important to you, what you want to achieve here in your career in the US. So we are your career consultants, and be it direct or staffing, that's the best choice for you. We will make sure that we guide you in that direction. We want you to arrive in the US and thrive, right? So both personally and professionally. So it's really important that as you look at your options, and when you look at that map, we've got opportunities all over the United States. Some are direct hire, some are staffing, and some are direct and staffing in the same state. So it's really important that you come and you have a conversation, a very transparent conversation with us about what's important to you, and if you're bringing a family, so that we can make sure that we are guiding you in the right direction. So thank you for all of your questions. I love your engagement here today. It seems like you're very excited and motivated to take the next step. So please do so today, and we can have our team of recruiters reach out to you and be able to guide you in the right direction. So Kelly, will you be able to email me this recording? I believe you'll be able to access it on the Connetics social sites after we end today. So go back and listen to the recording. I think many participants do that. They're working, not able to attend at the time that we are hosting. So yes, you can absolutely go back and look at that. So we answered the husband and wife question. I'm just going down through these questions here real quick. So this is for either Amanda, I think it might be you, but if not, we'll hand it over to Lilia. How can you endorse your New York license to Pennsylvania? And does having the visa screen help with the process to endorse your license to Pennsylvania?
Yes, and there are lots of states where you're able to get a license without a social prior to being here in the US. New York and Pennsylvania are two of those states, which are really good. So you can do an application today. You are able to get a 1-year temporary license for Pennsylvania. So when you are applying, you want to think about your timing as well, right? If you have a job offer within Pennsylvania and you want to start your application, you want to do that today. If you have not yet received an offer in Pennsylvania, you want to think about the time of your validity for the Pennsylvania temp. So you can endorse directly over to Pennsylvania, do an application online, order a nurse's report for your New York license, and that'll go over electronically. They do ask for documentation from CGFNS or Joseph Silney, so make sure that your documents are current within the vendor systems. And if you put in your application with AMN International today, we help guide you through the licensing process, so you don't have to do it on your own. So just remember, we do have a team of experts that help you from start to finish, because we want to make sure that you have the credential reports that you need, that you're able to do the license application correctly and quickly, because we are the experts. We do them every day, and we do have a lot of staff that go to New York and Pennsylvania. So we are able to do that very quickly. I see another question about Georgia. Same thing. If you have an active license, you can apply over to any state to endorse. Not every state will activate prior to arrival in the US. Sometimes they need proof of eligibility to work. So your I-94 upon entry, sometimes they require a social security number. So please look through the state guidelines, make sure you're applying and picking the state that you're able to get licensed in before arriving. And that's part of the reason why we ask you to reach out to our recruitment team. We do want to help guide you through what will be the best situation for you and your family, especially if you come with dependents. So licensure is one of those pieces. We want to make sure you're all prepared.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Lilia, this question is from you. Can someone who is in the process of an EB3 apply for the green card lottery? And would that have an implication on their status?
So you can apply for the green card lottery where you're waiting on your EB3 to process. And it is very straightforward when you do the lottery because either you get it or not, right? So you will know. Now, the green card lottery might be faster if you applied, with time. It's really a matter of timing you want to think about. It depends on where your EB3 is, like what's the stage you're in right now, whether it's, a good decision or not. Like that's really what you need to think about. But immigration-wise, it would not affect your EB3 if you also applied for a lottery.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Kelly, do you recruit TN candidates for employers? I think your question is on the direct hire side, and the answer is yes. So again, consider where it is that you want to be and where the opportunities are all over the U.S. So yes, it is. We have opportunities in direct and in staffing. So it really is what your preference is and where you want to go. And again, I would apply today at amnhealthcare.com/international. Okay, so Maninder, can we get a job offer for Canadian citizens? Yes, that is what this show is all about today, is guiding you through the TN process and making sure that you have all of the information that you need, documents needed before you go ahead and cross that border. So please make sure that you are applying today to get more information, but absolutely we would love to assist you. So Lilia, when should the RNs arrive in the US?
So you have to arrive no longer than 10 days before your start date. So 10 days before is the amount of time that you have to enter the US. And you'll have, relocation services, so we'll help you with that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Amanda, can you walk us through the process of obtaining a social security number?
Yes. So you cannot petition for a number until after you arrive. So what I recommend when you do a border crossing, whether it's driving at a border or flying, you want to make sure that you know the closest Social Security office to your entry point. So if you are driving across, I know Montana is kind of far for a lot of the Social Security offices, so just make sure you're aware of the locations and opportunities by you. For the Social Security office, once you cross, they usually do not stamp in your passport anymore. For your I-94, it is all online. So again, 10 days before you cross, you can actually do the USIS website, apply for your I-94, and then on that same page, you can pull your items electronically and see your I-94 online. That's what you'll give to the Social Security Administration when you arrive to show that you are eligible to now get a Social Security number. It does not activate on its own. So you do need to go to an office to request it. Not all offices allow walk-ins. So also check their website, stay on top of the time frame that you might be working with, especially if you do have a lot of dependents. And then you'll be petitioning for your Social Security number. It does take about 2 to 3 weeks for a card to be physically mailed out to you. And then you need to have an address ready for the card to go to. You can also, after you petition, wait 5 days and try and return back to an office to get your number. They will not give you a card at the office, but they can give you the number. Again, this is an opportunity where you work with our team. The experts may help explain how to advocate for yourself, because that's really what we do every day. We want to make sure you know the right verbiage, things to ask for, and then how to advocate for yourself once you're here. And that's really what our team will walk you through for the Social Security Administration. But again, you'll probably spend more time at the Social Security Administration than the border crossing itself. So I would prepare for more time in your day. So make sure you are planning your day accordingly at the Social Security office and the border crossing point.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Scott, what advice would you give to nurses who are thinking about wanting to immigrate to the U.S. and start their career here, but are a little hesitant? What advice would you give them?
I would say just do it. It has been one of the best opportunities that I've had in my lifetime. It has really just opened up a tremendous amount of doors. I came over as a bedside ER nurse and worked way through various ranks in the hospital, from charge nurse to supervisor to manager to director, and now full circle here at AMN International as a clinical director. So if you're on the fence, I say just take that leap, take that risk, because the outcome of it, I think, will be very, very positive for you. And I've enjoyed every step of the way and have not looked back once.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, it certainly is a full circle moment for Scott, who now gets to support all of our international RNs here in the US and prior to arrival. It's really important the services that our clinical team provides to make sure that you have got the support, assistance, the experience, the education that you need prior to arrival. And Scott and his team do a phenomenal job. And being an international nurse himself, he is able to lend his personal experience to that. We know that sometimes it's not easy all the time. Yes, the opportunities and for advancement and professional development are extremely, extremely high, but sometimes it can be challenging. It's not easy moving from everything that you've ever known to somewhere new. And that's why it's really important to choose a partner that is going to not only support you in the technical process, like gathering the documents, et cetera, preparing you for an embassy interview, but it really is important that you have that support from a team of experts. And most importantly, they've gone through the process themselves, because it can be challenging. And sometimes you may get to a point you're like, oh, do I really want to do this? And the answer is yes. 100% yes, because the support doesn't end when you arrive here in the US. In fact, that's where it accelerates even more, because we know that sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a fish out of water. You may have worked at your facility for 10 plus years, 15 years, whatever it looks like, and you're the expert there, and you come and like, oh, do I know what I'm doing? And the answer is yes. So please make sure that you have that confidence to take the next step. Again, we are here to support you every step of the way, and we are excited to help you on your journey. Lilia, David has a question here. He's been getting mixed signals on applying for a TN with a pending DS-260 or having been DQ'd. This has been an ongoing conversation among Canadians who are already in the EB3 pipeline.
Yeah, so it is, you have to remember that the TN is a non-immigrant intent, right? So if you already have applied for an immigrant status and then you go and apply for a TN, you're running that risk that the immigration officer will deny that application based solely on you having a pending immigrant application. So that's what you need to think about. It is very risky to do so because, again, the TN is a non-immigrant intent. And yes, you can, adjust your status later on a TN after that 90-day period has been established. But if you have already applied for an EB3, that means you do want to reside in the US, and that's a clear immigrant intent. So for that reason, you may get denied a TN.
Okay, thank you for that information, Lilia. Maninder, how much experience is needed for Canadian nurses? So we do have opportunities for nurses who do not have a lot of experience or have lesser experience. In transparency, those opportunities are not as plentiful as opportunities available for nurses with experience, but I would encourage you to submit your application today. amnhealthcare.com/international, and really get speaking to a recruiter And again, they're going to be your career consultants, and they're going to guide you in the right direction and make sure that you have got an opportunity that is parallel with your experience, and also, most importantly, with what you are looking for professionally. So please apply today. We will have an opportunity for you. If you have less experience, they will be more limited, but we would love the opportunity to speak to you. So Toto has a question. I have an expired Arizona license, issued and expired on the same day, and I can't activate it because I'm practicing overseas. Now that the visa is backlogged and my priority date is May 25th, 2023, how can I keep the license updated? So Amanda, would you mind taking that one?
So Arizona is one of the states where they will not issue you a full temporary or permanent license. You do get a one-day license number. You have to have an active TN visa I-94 to be submitted to them in order for them to activate your license. Based off the priority date, let's say it is a 2-year timeframe before you arrive, you'll likely need to reapply with Arizona. They do not hold on to applications, usually past a year. So I would be cautious, watch the visa bulletins, make sure that your credential reports and things are staying current. So that way, when you are ready and you do have a current priority date where we'd be able to bring you forward, that you would have the current application with Arizona and be able to get a new license number. That same license number will likely still time out. So make sure you stay in contact with them, and anything could happen in 2 years, right? Board regulations could change. Our team watches that stuff very closely. Usually every 6 months, we check every board regulation, English requirements, if social security numbers are still needed for application or issuance. So hopefully those things will change in 2 years for Arizona, but currently you have to have an I-94 for it to be issued. So unfortunately, they will not keep it current for you at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amanda. Lilia, Fansar has a question here. What's the chance of migrating anytime soon with a priority date of February 2023?
So we are monitoring right now the visa bulletin. We expect to see more movement probably by end of quarter. I could not really give you an exact timeline. I don't think anyone can. With a 2023 priority date, if you are on the rest of the world category, it might take, a year to 2 years to become current. But again, we have to be looking at that visa bulletin every month, and that is released usually the second week of the month. So I would just say keep an eye on that. It may be a little while.
Perfect. Thanks, Lilia. And we do keep a very, very close watch on what's happening. And there is an upcoming immigration Q&A in a couple of weeks that we encourage you to join, where you can get your questions answered. And we do also really make sure that all of our clinicians that are currently waiting to arrive in the US are communicated with on a regular basis, updating where we're at, what their next steps are. But what I would highly encourage everybody to do is focus on what you can control, right? So you can control making sure that you have passed your NCLEX. You can control taking your English exam. You can control facilitating the visa screen process. So all of those things you should continue to focus on, because what's going to keep you motivated is achieving the next step. So we are here again for you every step of the way, but the more that you focus on that, the less time it will seem like, and just know that you've got a partner by your side who is going to encourage, support, and keep you educated along the way. Amanda, do Canadian citizens need English as well?
That is a great question. So really, the English examination goes off of your primary nursing education. So if all of your education was in Canada, no, you do not need it for the visa screen. And then most of our state boards do not require it for licensure if you are a Canadian citizen and had education in Canada. Quebec is the only one that really you would still need to likely take English. If your primary nursing education was in another country, and then you came to Canada and have a secondary education, so let's say a BSN, you would still need to take an English proficiency. So if you are working through our vendors, CGFNS or Joseph Salney, you'll see that they might be asking you about English examination. They go off of your primary nursing education. So again, that's something that our team does help you navigate through. We help you with the test recommendations for the test types. We help monitor the expiration of your exams while we are also watching retrogression. So again, something that if you put in your application with us today, that's something our team does help navigate through because everyone's case is different. And so we evaluate everyone individually for the best path forward. So again, please put your name in today.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Amanda. A follow-up question from Mildred on the English. Will she have to do IELTS again after its expiry, considering that she does have a visa screen certificate?
So the visa screen is good for 5 years. Something that you need to watch the expiration of that as well. If your visa screen does expire prior to you being able to come and activate a visa, you would need to take IELTS again if you needed it originally for your visa screen. IELTS is only good for a 2-year period. All the English proficiencies are a 2-year period in order to be valid for the state boards as well as the visa screen itself. So really, you need to just be watchful for your visa screen expiration and then what state you're going to be going in to apply for. A lot of states do require current English testing at time for them to issue you a license. So again, that's really where our team helps navigate you for the best path forward to be able to give a recommendation for your particular situation. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. Scott, I know that you came on, you did some travel assignments before. How long did it take you to get an opportunity where you wanted to be located?
Coming into the travel nursing?
Yes.
So really just about a month or two, working with my recruiter, getting all of my licensing in order, my TN visa in order, and I was able to establish an opportunity here in Dallas, Texas. So things happened a lot quicker than I had anticipated back then. It was a very quick and efficient process.
Perfect. So your first travel assignment was in Texas, was in Dallas, Texas.
Was in Dallas, Texas, and I stayed for a year, continued to renew that assignment. Just really fell in love with the hospital. It was a large level 1 academic trauma center, exactly what I was looking for in terms of that career growth. So I continued to renew my assignment, and then I always had a passion and a desire to go out to California. So I took a travel assignment with AMN Healthcare and went out to the San Diego area and then later on into Lake Tahoe. So spent another year out there and then really wanted to put some roots down. So came back to Dallas, and really that's where I started to really grow my career in nursing leadership.
Wow, that's an amazing journey. I mean, you've seen all 4 corners of this beautiful country and obtaining career advancement along the way. So thank you for sharing your journey. And that's always the goal, right? Is when you arrive here to the US, you want to put down your roots. You want to make a life. And it's really important that you choose that location that is going to give you that. And, you know, the opportunities at AMN Healthcare International, yes, coming as an international nurse, you need to gain that experience through a 2 or 3 year commitment. But after that, you can go explore. You know, you can look at travel opportunities, whatever that may be, because you have that necessary US experience in order to do that. So very exciting. And thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, Scott. Chinook, that's wonderful. Your primary education is in the Philippines and your secondary here in Canada. That's wonderful. Really, really excited to be working with you, Chinook. You've been so engaging throughout this entire presentation. I know you're really excited to take the next step. So Toto has another question here. Is it possible to use the NCLEX result from Arizona to start a new registration with a different state to get an active license? So Amanda, I think that's a follow-on question from, you know, you shared the information about the Arizona license, but would you mind answering that for Toto?
Yes. So I do have a few states that I recommend if you are able to apply over, and our team does help with this. So if you put an application in, we help guide you through with the board forms, the CES reports and things that you would need. So I recommend Illinois, Delaware, Tennessee. They do have varying guidelines. So you want to think about if it's a CES report that would require current English, if you had primary education in another country outside of Canada, you need to make sure your English is current for an application over to Tennessee. Illinois is a great opportunity for you to also be able to apply over and transfer over the score information to activate a license. So I do recommend those three. You do need to think about the timeline that you're on, the cost of the application, and then the requirements for each board for your particular situation. So again, reach out to us, have our team help navigate you through that, because we do that every day. And then I think Chinook's question might be added on from the English question earlier. So primary education in the Philippines, but then secondary education in Canada, you would need to take an English proficiency for a visa screen to qualify. And then also for state boards of nursing, you will likely need to have an English exam or show that your education was taught in English with English text to qualify for further exemptions depending on the board. So again, something our team watches very closely, and that's really where we come in as the experts to make sure that you have the best path forward.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. And key to point out here, if you are, nervous about the English exam or in the process of the English exam, we do have very, very good resources here to help you prepare for that necessary English exam should you need it. So please make sure that you are applying to us today, and we'll certainly get you enrolled in those prestigious programs and hopefully get you prepared to pass on your first attempt. Just a few questions here that are coming in. So Raymond, you have eligibility to sit for NCLEX from New York. Any opportunity for me in your firm? 100%. We have opportunities in New York. We want to hear from you. Best of luck on sitting your NCLEX. I have no doubt that you will be very, very successful. So please reach out to us and we would be happy to work with you. Okay, some questions coming in here. Lilia, what visa do spouses qualify for under TN and EB3?
So if you come to the US with a TN, your spouse will get a TD visa. With a TD visa, your spouse can study, but he cannot work. Same thing for your children under 21 years of age. So they would have to, you have to keep that in mind, right? If they can apply for a different type of visa, that would depend on what the qualifications that they have. Now, if you come here with an EB3, that means that you enter as a legal permanent resident and your family members also are legal permanent residents at US entry. That means they can work and study in the US.
Perfect. Thank you, Lilia. I have one more question for you from Nikki. What if an NCLEX RN overstayed here in the US and wanted to apply? Is that possible? And the IELTS question, Nikki, yes, we will address that once Lilia has the opportunity to answer your initial question.
So it depends on the overstay. How long was the overstay? What kind of visa were you on when you overstayed that period? So it will depend on that. If it was less, let's say, than 3 months or even 6 months, it may be something that we can help you with. But if it's over the 6-month mark, it's very hard to get a visa if you overstayed for over 6 months.
Okay, thanks, Lilia. Yes, Raymond, I see here that you've been applying. No reply. Sincere apologies for that. I know that you were scheduled to take NCLEX here upcoming, but we will prioritize your application. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We get a lot of applications and do our very, very best to get through each and every one. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time than we would want. But again, best of luck on your NCLEX. I'm sure that you're going to do phenomenally well. And once you have passed, please reach out to us and we would be very, very excited to assist you. So we're coming up on time, believe it or not. That was one of the fastest hours. Thanks so much for all of the questions. I'm going to hand it back to our panel of experts. Any parting thoughts, Amanda, Scott, and Lilia? Let's start with Amanda.
I just want to say thank you for joining today. If you're watching later on, please, I still very much encourage everyone to apply, try and get in contact with our experts. We want to help guide you through the process. So even though the TN visa is an easier visa to get, there are other obstacles you might come through. So let our team help get you here. We really do want to help guide you through every step of the process. But we just encourage everyone to take the best path for you. And we look forward to seeing you here. So thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Scott.
Just want to say thank you to everybody who joined us today. I really encourage you all. I know it's scary, but I encourage you to take that leap. I don't think you'll regret it. There will be challenges, but there will be tons of triumphs. So I really, really, really strongly encourage you to pursue these opportunities and pursue your nursing dream in America.
Thank you, Scott. And last but not least, Lilia.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And remember, I agree with Amanda. It doesn't have to be a TN. There's many ways to come to the US and work here. So just reach out to us, apply online, and we will tell you which one would be better for you, what would make more sense. And we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. So I would like to take the opportunity again to thank our panel of experts. Thank you to everybody who was listening in today for your questions, your participation. Hopefully you left with some more information than you had when you initially joined the call. But so much expertise here, so much experience, and the team is ready and waiting to help each and every one of you fulfill your American dream, just like Scott did. And I don't know, but it's just a great experience to share that with all of our participants today. And I know that Stephen took a little bit of a different path, and but was unfortunately unable to join us today. But hopeful that we will be able to have him join us on a future Onwards and Upwards. So as usual, we want to let you know of the upcoming shows in the next few weeks. So if we can pop up that slide real quick. So our upcoming Onwards and Upwards show next week, November 3rd. Can you believe it's already November? We are almost at the end of the year. It's been the fastest year. I don't know if everyone feels the same, but November 3rd, we're going to be talking about what it's like living stateside. So it's all around the West Coast. November 17th is going to be that immigration Q&A that I referenced earlier. So all of your immigration questions will be answered there. So please make sure that you are marking your calendars for that one. And then on December 1st, hosting a career day. So please make sure that you are marking calendars there so that you have the opportunity to attend. And then here's our upcoming Connetics College schedule. The first Monday of every month is going to be Aspire RN. That's going to be an NCLEX class. The second Monday is an English class hosted by our partner Swoosh. Third Monday, another NCLEX preparation class. And then the fourth Monday is another English class hosted by our other partner, Niner. So thank you again to everybody who has attended today. Raymond, thank you. Raymond says that we are doing a great job. So there is no feedback better than that for us to receive, because we do all of this because we are invested in your future, invested in your American dream. And we're just very thankful that you chose AMN Healthcare International to assist you on your journey. So thank you again. I hope I have the opportunity to return as a host in the future. But for now, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and onwards and upwards.